Hello, YouTube universe. How are you guys doing? It's your man Ricky G, and I know I haven't made a personal video in a while because I've been doing book reviews, but I felt compelled to make this video about a subject that seems to be a hot topic among ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, especially on social media, on Facebook and YouTube, and probably other social media outlets, but those are the only two that I'm on right now. And it seems to be the water cooler talk of the time, and that is the ban on Jehovah's Witnesses in Russia. What does the ban really entail? At this point, I don't think anyone is fully sure of what the ban is going to really mean. Right now, I do know that about 30 publications have been banned as extreme. I do believe that their website is no longer available in Russia. And I do believe that they will no longer be able to openly practice their religion. So that means not going to meetings at Kingdom Halls, not going to assemblies or conventions, and also no more door-to-door preaching. And I am unaware of the consequences for breaking these new laws of the government. Will it include fines and jail time? I'm pretty sure that will be the case. But if it includes violence, torture, and martyrdom of Jehovah's Witnesses, then I'm not for the ban at all. So what is my stance? I think I just gave it away a little bit. I am 100% for the ban of Jehovah's Witnesses in Russia. In fact, I think that Jehovah's Witnesses should be banned in the United States at the root of this cult rather than in Russia, but that's for another story. So I wanted to give my thoughts on the reasons why I am for the ban of Jehovah's Witnesses in Russia. First off, their practice of disfellowshipping and shunning does break up families. I read a few articles online from I don't know what sources they were from, I forget, but in the comments section of those articles were people from Russia. And it seems like most of them were not too familiar with Jehovah's Witnesses, and they were against the ban, stating that Russia was being extreme on their view of Jehovah's Witnesses. I disagree with those because they did not live and breathe that religious cult as many of us ex-Jehovah's Witnesses have. I lived it for 30 years and I was a baptized member for just over 20. And my family has not spoken to me for almost 3 years now. Not a single word. And I would say the only text messages I ever received back from my family were to never contact them by phone, text, email ever again. So, does shunning break family, or do Jehovah's Witnesses practices break up families, or do they bring families together? I would say they definitely do break families. Another point is that there is no dignified way to leave the religion without consequences. If you disfellowship, if you disassociate yourself, if you are disfellowshipped, there are going to be consequences. People are going to shun you, whether that be family or friends. Another point is that they do not extend the rights that they fight so hard for to their own members. They fight for religious equality and the freedom to practice their religion due to the Human Rights Act, But they don't even extend that to the witnesses because, as I mentioned, there's no dignified way to leave without consequences. Is it really free will when you have a gun pointed to your head to make one choice or the other? One choice you don't want to make, the other one, if you do make it, the choice that you probably prefer, that you might get a bullet to the head. That's not free will. Another reason I support the ban is that Jehovah's Witnesses are indeed an extreme cult because they believe that everyone who is not a Jehovah's Witness is going to die at Armageddon, which is very soon to come. They've been preaching the end of the world since the 1870s, and that everyone not on the side of Jehovah's Witnesses is going to die. Sorry about that. It's my dog chewing on his toy. But yeah, that's pretty extreme when you believe that 99.98% of the population is going to be killed by fire, struck by lightning, crushed by hailstorms, or swallowed up by the earth. I also support the ban because of their religious stance on blood restrictions. Thousands of Jehovah's Witnesses have died for not taking a blood transfusion, and then they changed it and said, oh, you can take fractions now. I'm sorry, but blood guilt is on their hands. Another reason why I support the ban is because of their two-witness rule that applies to two different things. Excuse the noise. He's pretty rambunctious right now. The two-witness rule applies for child molestation. Now, everyone knows that there will never be two witnesses to this type of scenario. Child molesters don't do their thing in front of another witness. So if he doesn't confess, well, then elders have to leave it in Jehovah's hands. This protects the abuser. And they are even fighting right now in the Australian Royal Commission to not have to be able to report every time there's a situation where someone molests a child. Can you imagine that? They're fighting not to have to report. What do they do to those who try and warn other parents that, hey, such and such, you need to watch out, watch your child around this person? Those people are labeled as slanderers and are disfellowshipped from the congregation. So they protect the abuser and they punish the victims and their family. Now, the two-witness rule also applies to rape. According to the Jehovah's Witnesses, a victim of rape must scream out, or else he or she is in violation and guilty of fornication. And I've seen personal testimonies of women who were raped and did not scream and were disfellowshipped. Can you imagine that? You're victimized permanently for the rest of your life, and then you lose every one of your friends and family. That leads to suicide. People have killed themselves because they have been shunned by everyone in their lives. And they've been so sheltered as Jehovah's Witnesses that they don't know where to go. The only thing they know how to do is to end their life. And that's really sad. They also encourage women to stay with their abusive husbands, even blaming these victimized women that they need to be a better wife and try and win their husband over without a word. That's extreme. And then lastly, the Jehovah's Witnesses do practice a form of thought control. If a member speaks up and says, hey, you know what? I really don't agree with what the governing body has to say on this matter. I think they're wrong. Do you know what would happen? They'd be given the boot and disfellowship. So those are some reasons why I agree with the ban. And I want to touch real briefly. I don't want to make this video too long. But this ban actually fulfills the Jehovah's Witness prophecy about themselves. Because if I remember correctly, the Great Tribulation was supposed to start. The United Nations and supporting governments are getting rid of false religions, and then the Jehovah's Witnesses become their target. And at this point, when they begin persecuting the witnesses, let's just say, for instance, I don't know, maybe a ban in Russia, when they start persecuting them, then Jehovah God is supposed to step in and protect them, much like the Israelites, how they compare themselves to those in the Bible, how the Israelites were trapped and cornered and helpless, and he provided a way out. Well, that's how the UN and these governments are supposed to see the witnesses, as helpless sheep. And then Jehovah steps in. So really, by their engaging in a worldwide letter campaign to end the ban, they're really going against what needs to happen for them to get to paradise. As a matter of fact, the Bible says, rejoice when those are persecuting you and saying every bad and vile thing in my name against you. Rejoice because the kingdom of the heavens is yours, or something like that. So I don't know why the witnesses are writing letters to stop this when it needs to happen in order for their prophecies to come true. So why we should rejoice with the witnesses for this ban. We should be all for it as ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. And really, the ban isn't a difficult thing for them to obey. You can't meet openly, you can't go to conventions, and you can't go door to door. Okay, well, doesn't the Bible say that when 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I will be with them? The words of Jesus Christ. Don't Jehovah's Witnesses call themselves Christian? This would be the perfect opportunity for Jehovah's Witnesses to take that advice and to meet in small groups discreetly. They don't have to meet in kingdom halls, no. They don't have to go door to door. That's not a requirement to be saved from Armageddon. They can preach more discreetly than going door to door. But no, those 7 overlords in the new headquarters in Warwick are going to demand that Jehovah's Witnesses continue as is and obey Jehovah God as ruler rather than men. And what is that going to cause? That's going to cause a lot of problems for the individual Jehovah's Witnesses, because they are going to follow the words of the governing body. And this is why this is a dangerous cult, because they can convince people that going to jail, getting persecuted, and possibly even dying is a good thing. They can convince family members to turn their back on someone who no longer wants to be a Jehovah's Witness, and that it's a loving act. They can convince parents to let their children die for refusing a blood transfusion and think that Jehovah God is just smiling down on them in heaven with approval. It's dangerous. It's a dangerous cult. And if you're an ex-Jehovah's Witness and you want to see this religion crumble and come to an end, it's not going to come from kindness and from human rights. It's going to come from decisive action like that of Russia. So anyways, if you do support the ban, I respect that. I don't think you're mentally diseased or anything is wrong with you. I can see where you're coming from regarding freedom of religion and human rights, but where do you draw that line? I can't define that. All I know is that I believe that the Jehovah's Witness religion is an extreme passive aggressive cult, and they need to be stopped. You can't just ask them to please stop doing what you're doing. You're hurting people. That's not going to happen. So anyways, I wanted to talk about that because it seems to be on everyone's mind right now, and it's on mine as well. So I hope that this video found you in good health and in a good mood, and continue to look for my next videos soon enough. I think after I finish the current book review that I'm doing, I'll do a video about myself and where I'm at, what I believe in, and how I'm doing. So anyways, thanks for listening.